Okay, now we slightly change the subject in the sense of our next session will be about SQLBase, features and benefits of SQLBase 12.1 and 12.2. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Ines. Let me open my SQLBase presentation. So here we go. Let's talk SQLBase, the agenda. A quick overview, and then we go through the features and benefits of the SQLBase releases of the 12.X series, and we will have a demo and a Q&A session then at the end. So here's the overview of the SQLBase 12.X series, a very powerful version series really that started with multi-threading performance in SQLBase 12.1 a few years ago, and 12.0 is really important when you want to have many more users on one SQLBase server. You have much better load management for resource-intense tasks. So 12.0 even makes sense for single users, because if single users run multiple tasks, then that works much better as well. You have much higher scalability through multi-threading and performance enhancements through operating system multi-threading. And I think our customers that use SQLBase 12.X are really happy with the performance and scalability of SQLBase. In SQLBase 12.1, we delivered automatic database upgrades. So you could basically upgrade any database from 9.x to 12 to SQLBase 12.1 automatically. So that's important if you have a solution, have sold that solution to many customers, and you want to upgrade your field users to use a new database version. So that was made possible with SQLBase 12.1. And also we introduced a new SQL database administration tool, which will be featured in SQLBase 12.2 a little more then. In 12.2, we have that SQL Talk Plus tool with many more features. You will see that live at the end of this presentation as well. We did add some SQL language and functions in 12.1, but as well as 12.2. And with 12.2, you also get more programming options with the .NET Core database driver. So for 12.0, I think that's the only slide you really need there. Huge performance, scalability, and multitasking improvements. So I hope you are all on at least 12.0. But when you look at the product lifecycle for SQLBase, then you see that SQLBase 12.0 actually is out of engineering support since this August, and you should be moving to a newer SQLBase version 12.2, which goes out of support in July 2024. And I mentioned that before, every OpenText product version has a 5-year lifecycle, and the lifecycle can also be viewed on OpenText My Support for every product version that we have published. So let's look a bit more in detail on 12.1. In 12.1, you had maintenance automation. So it is important that you get you back up your databases. In many cases, backups are not being made via the database backup feature, but by doing a disk or doing a virtual machine backup, the volume backup of a virtual machine. And for that to work, you really need to be SQLBase to be aware when a database backup is happening, and SQLBase will automatically pause for that time and will let the operating system do the automated backup, and then will go live and allow users to work with the database. And all that is without interruption, so nothing has to be done from an admin side, either from IT or database admins. So easy maintenance with SQLBase 12.1. In 12.1, we also released the first version of our new SQL Talk Plus tool that has a nice color-coded SQL editor. It allows you to basically connect to any database that has a .NET data provider, because you can simply provide a connection string to log into any database. And the .NET data access is highly standardized, so that it really works nicely with other databases as well. You get grid data viewing and editing, so you can not only display the output of the data or the return of a query, for example, in flat viewing format. You can also view that data in a grid, and if it's a single table query that you are running, then you can edit that data as well. So you can do data maintenance using SQL Talk Plus by changing values that, or it's removing duplicates or whatever you need to do there. So automated upgrading and SQL enhancements. I mentioned the automatic upgrades. They are really important for larger deployments of SQLBase where you have many customers or you have many subsidiaries that need to be upgraded. Then this works automatically with SQLBase 12.1. We introduced a new limit clause for query results. So basically you could say select star from company limit 10, and then it would only return the 10 first rows from that from the result set. And that feature is being enhanced in the 12.2 release as well. And you have a new format function to format query output. So you can you can construct a format function in the query definition that creates the desired output for you that a certain, let's say, programmed column puts out into the result set. We do also have a number of things available about SQLBase 12.1 on YouTube. So there are 4 videos: SQLBase 12.1 features and benefits, SQLBase Talk Plus overview, SQLBase 12 EDP deployment tool. I didn't mention that here, but the new EDP deployment tool allows you to create the custom installers for your server deployments for customers, and this creates basically the installers and the amount of users you need. SQLBase multithreading is another featured video there that you can watch on YouTube. Okay, the other release here in this series is SQLBase 12.2, and here are the highlights and features of SQLBase 12.2. You get an enhanced SQL Talk Plus, so we have invested quite a bit into this tool now. You have now one place for all things SQLBase. You have server and database maintenance right from SQL Talk, like task scheduling, and that task scheduling now is included into the Windows task scheduling service, which makes it much more integrated into Windows and offers more features than our previous own task scheduling. You have database auditing, server, database, and user statistics. You have the server process activity log in the SQL Talk Plus tool, so you can see what's going on in the server without changing to another screen or without changing the server without connecting the server console to a server and seeing the log. You can do that right from within SQL Talk Plus. And of course, SQL testing and scripting is always available in our SQL Talk tools. So easy database maintenance with one nice graphical SQL Talk Plus product or tool. Then we have several SQL enhancements. We have a new function ifbool to return a value based on a Boolean expression, and you will see some examples of that. We have a new function isNumeric, which looks at the contents of a string or a character column or Unicode character column and checks if the data in there is actually a numeric value. And that works quite well. I have a sample for that as well there. And then we extended the limit clause for select, and we now have an offset position. So you can say like something like limit 10, offset 10 to get the next set of results from a result set. So you can basically scroll through a result set multiple rows at a time. Like for example, in TD Mobile, you just want to display 10 rows in a smartphone application. That makes really sense. And then the user scrolls on to the next result set, and then you fetch the next 10 rows. So that helps to increase application performance to transmit less data for mobile applications, for example. You get substring and mid functions for long data types, so they work on the long character and long varchar characters data types as well now. So get increased query power with SQLBase 12.2. And we have a new .NET driver with SQLBase 12.2, a .NET Standard driver. .NET Standard means the driver works with .NET Core, which is the open source .NET from Microsoft, and the .NET Framework from Microsoft, which is the commercial framework that, for example, Team Developer Application uses. So this one driver works on both these .NET platforms, and you can, for example, create ASP.NET Core web applications. And these can, the IDE, the Core IDE from Microsoft runs on Windows and Linux, and I'll show you a sample of this running on Linux shortly. And yeah, so here we are with the samples. Actually, this is a short video that I will run now, and let's look at this video. So what I do here is get server connection information that is displayed in a grid. You can cancel server processes. You can also see server statistics that are shown on the right side in that property window. You can have database cursor information. You have database statistic information. And you can see scheduled tasks. And this is a list of scheduled tasks that are stored in the Windows Task Scheduler. So this window is basically still a SQL Talk Plus. There's a check database programmed now in this task here. And if you go on Edit Schedule, now we are opening the Windows Task Scheduling windows, and you can define the triggers, the conditions. You see when that thing has executed and all these things. So that's integrated in the Windows Task Manager. And now we're actually triggering that task from the Task Manager. And in this case, the task shows an error and the error is executed. In this case here, the if bool function is executed and it returns false or true. And this one is the if bool. Let me quickly stop the video here. So basically, this is if bool and is numeric at work, and the left column is a character column that contains numeric strings, and if it is a valid numeric string, then this second column displays it's a numeric value. And if not, then it will display that it's not a numeric value. Let's just move a little bit ahead here in this video. Oops, I'm sorry. How would I go there? No, doesn't want that position. Sorry about that. Let's just run that video without interruption. So you see these new if bool is numeric, and then there's a trim in there as well. So if a string data that has trailing blanks, then you can use trim to remove the trailing links. And now I'm actually opening the Visual Studio open source version on Linux, Visual Studio Code on Linux. And you see the controller code here. So this model view controller model, this application model view controller design. And here's the code for the database connection, for example, to SQLBase, the data reader that is needed to read the data. Then there's the SQL select statement, the insert statement. So for every CRUD operation, there is one SQL statement defined here in the code. There's a select with condition, and then you can go to the view part. The view part are basically HTML pages that show the data, and then the model is the model definition in C#. And then there is a connection string defined in SQLBase for SQLBase in the app settings.jsons. And you can simply switch to debugging like you do that with Team Developer or GD Mobile. You compile and run the application. And you can now update data, submit that data. You can create a new teacher, enter the data, submit that. And you can also delete a row. So all these CRUD operations are working easily with ASP.NET Core, which is the open source part of .NET from Microsoft. Yeah, that was the quick sample video of the several new functions and features of SQLBase, of SQLtalk Plus, and the AD and the .NET Core database driver. So you can see more on SQLBase 12.2 on YouTube in our YouTube channel, SQLBase 12.2 features and benefits. Then let's have a quick look again at the roadmap. So we released SQLBase 12.2 last year, and next year we will have SQLBase 12.3 coming with security enhancements. You can will be able to set the password strengths, increase the security of SQL-based deployments. You will get a data protection audit to comply with GDPR rules. Actually, there's a typo there. So you will be able to see who has changed what value at what time, to see if somebody misbehaved in your data editing protocol. Developer and query features, reverse order, scan and find functions for better search capabilities. And you will have the ability to provide an EDP installer maker file list so that the custom installers will include the files that you want to deploy as well. And new API functions to detect how many rows are affected by update and delete commands. And then here's a further look into the future, not complete yet, of course, but something that we are planning to do is in SQLBase 12.4 support for the .NET Entity Framework, and SQLtalk Plus will be enhanced with visual editors for creating users and roles in SQLtalk Plus, scripting for insert commands, and we will add other customer requested features as they come in. And that really is the SQLBase 12.X overview. Any questions?
Yeah, Martin, there are a couple of questions. First one, sorry, there is the echo again. First one, SQLBase 12 supports maximum length of username only 8 characters. When will it be increased?
That's something I need to investigate. I will check that and see how that we can increase that, yeah.
Okay, and then a question related to SQLtalk Plus. Can SQLtalk Plus be used to connect to databases running with SQLBase 12 or lower too?
Yes, it can. You might have problems with retrieving some of the information because we are using new .NET APIs that might not be available on the older database, like the database statistics and these things probably.
Okay, and in addition to the same question, so the same additional functionality, for example, for statistics, etc., can be provided?
It can be, the statistics can be seen in the SQLBase, not console, what's the tool of that, command center. That is still available, but will go away in the future, but it can be seen in command center, yes.
And then another one, will it be possible to scroll with the mouse wheel in the new SQLtalk Interactive?
If that's not possible, that's a nice feature addition that we can put in, sure.